Hello, everyone. This is Nick from Reventure Consulting, back for another Reventure YouTube cast. Today, we're going to take a look at a pretty controversial topic, California and its really expensive real estate. If you're an existing owner in California, you love it because your values go up each year and your banking equity. If you're a renter or you're trying to gain access to the market and buy a property, you hate it because it's just so damn expensive and you can't afford the down payment. Today, we're going to take a look into just how expensive California is relative to other states, as well as the most expensive counties within the state, and then try to answer the question, why is California so expensive to begin with? So just how expensive is it to own a home in California? The answer is pretty damn expensive. This map takes a look at all 48 continental states and assigns the corresponding average home value for each state. The color scheme shows that the greener the state looks, the more expensive. The bluer the state looks, the less expensive. California jumps off the page at $693,000 for the average home value, by far the highest of any state in the U.S. In fact, no one else is even close. Second place is Massachusetts at $512,000, and third place is Washington at $483,000. Second and third place are about 35% below where California's average home value is. If we break it down more specifically and look at different counties, California has 12 of the top 15 most expensive counties by home value in the United States. The fact that California has 12 of the 15 highest home value counties in the country is amazing unto itself. But then when you look at its top four, San Francisco, San Mateo, Marin, and Santa Clara, their average home value is above $1.2 million. The entry point to own a home in these places is completely cost prohibitive. Unless you're a rich tech exec or come from a lot of money, you're likely not buying a home in any of these counties. To that extent, one reason for California's elevated home values is the fact that it's a very wealthy state. This map shows the average household income across all 48 continental US states. California at $110,000 is in the top 5. Other high home value states include Maryland, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and New York. Similar to what we saw with the home value map, the middle of the country has decidedly lower income levels. So income is clearly part of the explanation here. This graph displays the strong relationship between average household income, here on the x-axis, and home value on the y-axis across all 50 US states. Each dot is a different state. Most of the dots sit right along or very close to the trend line, exhibiting that there's a strong relationship between income and home value. However, California sits up here well above the line. Its average home value of $693,000 is 6.3 times its average household income of $110,000. So relative to average household income, California's home values are coming in well above where you would expect. This can be displayed more clearly on this graph, which ranks every state by its ratio of home value to income, which I call value ratio. California at 6.3 is well above anyone else. Second place is Washington at 4.6. Then you have New York at 4.6, Colorado at 4.5, Oregon at 4.5. So despite California being wealthy, its home values are still way higher than you would expect. California suffers from a lot of Nimby tendencies. Nimby means not in my backyard. Generally, a lot of the towns in the state are against new construction, new building. If you want to build new rental units or a dense high-rise, they typically don't allow it. If you want to build new single-family developments, the local town or zoning board will put up a lot of roadblocks in front of the developer who wants to do that. These NIMBY tendencies are reflected in housing supply growth, which is well below the US average. And when you have low supply growth, that causes prices to go up. It's just a simple supply and demand formula. California is an attractive state. It's a good place to be. There's lots of tech jobs. There's lots of economic growth. There's a high quality of life. People want to live there, but the state is not developing the housing units to accommodate the demand for people to live there. And the result is the values and the prices just keep going up. To exemplify that point, let's take a look at this chart, which shows housing supply growth by county from 2010 to 2020. You can see that the average US county added roughly 10% of housing supply to its stock in this 10-year period. Let's scroll down and see when we can find the first California county on this list. Still no sign of California. Oh, finally, here we go. Placer, California, which is northeast of Sacramento, comes in at 167th on the county list with 13% housing growth, slightly above the US average. So that's the highest any California county registered in the last 10 years in housing supply growth. Let's keep going. All right, so now we've hit roughly the average. There's only one county in California above the US average in housing supply growth during the last 10 years. That is unbelievable for a state that has lots of demand from people that want to live there. Unfortunately, this situation is getting worse. So this chart shows the relationship between housing growth between 2010 and 2020, and then between 2000 and 2010. You can see that a lot of red dots are in the bottom left quadrant, which means these counties were below average in both 10-year periods. Being in the top left quadrant of this graph means that you were actually above average from 2000 to 2010, but then below average from 2010 to 2020. So for instance, Riverside County, California had 37% housing growth 2000 through 2010, but then only 8.4% 2010 through 2020. Imperial went from 28% to 4.6%. El Dorado, 24% to 6%. Madera, 22% to 5%. So this situation is actually getting worse, where between 2000 and 2010, there were actually some counties in California that were delivering units above the US average. But in the last 10 years, almost every single one is now below the US average. The relief in real estate prices in California doesn't look likely to come from increased supply. The governor, Gavin Newsom, set a goal of 3.5 million new housing units by 2025. However, in 2020, they only have 120,000 permitted for new construction. Instead of facilitating growth through new supply, California is hurting their growth by driving people out. And maybe that's how finally there will be a decline in prices. Enough people with means are going to say, I don't want to pay $1.2 million for my new home in San Francisco. I'll move to Denver or Austin, Texas, where I can still work in my tech job and pay $600,000. At that point, California's real estate values might come in, but at the expense of the growth of the state. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe or leave a comment and let me know if there's any other real estate markets that you would like me to take a look at. Until then, this is Nick from Reventure Consulting signing off.